The school bell echoed through the worn-out hallways, marking the start of another chaotic day. Mr. Ramirez, the new teacher, walked in quietly, his gentle smile barely hiding the nerves behind his eyes. His shoes were old, his clothes simple, but there was something calm, almost unshakable, about the way he held himself. As he entered the classroom, a wave of whispers rolled through the students like a rising tide. "He won't last a week," one student muttered with a smirk, loud enough for others to laugh. This school was known for driving teachers out, and the students saw it as a game. Mr. Ramirez set his books down and greeted them warmly, ignoring the stares and smirks. He asked their names with genuine interest, but they rolled their eyes, already planning ways to break him. Paper balls were crumpled behind desks, jokes whispered behind cupped hands. But the new teacher didn't flinch. He wrote "Hope" on the board and turned around. "Before we talk about math," he said softly, "I want to ask what you hope for in life." The room paused, just for a second. It wasn't the response they expected. And that was the moment something started to shift. By the second day, the students were ready. Trevor, loud and restless, teamed up with Maya, sharp-tongued and quick with comebacks. They had made it their mission to break Mr. Ramirez. During roll call, they mimicked his soft accent with exaggerated mockery, drawing loud laughs. Papers were thrown when his back was turned. Someone even managed to change his laptop's language settings to confuse him mid-lesson. Each move was met with silence, not scolding. Mr. Ramirez simply adjusted, smiled, and continued teaching like nothing had happened. His calm was unsettling. No yelling. No threats. Just gentle persistence. Instead of punishing them, he told short stories, ones about kids like them, who faced anger with kindness and confusion with courage. At first, the class barely listened. But slowly, his quiet tone began to cut through the noise. The louder they got, the softer he spoke, as if refusing to give their cruelty any more oxygen. The bullies expected a reaction. A breakdown. A walkout. But Mr. Ramirez just stood there every day, unbothered, unmoved. It wasn't weakness, they didn't realize yet, it was strength. And in that quiet strength, he was changing something none of them could yet understand. It was a rainy Thursday when something shifted. The usual noise filled the room, chairs scraping, sarcastic laughs, Trevor tossing a pen across the aisle. But Mr. Ramirez didn't raise his voice. Instead, he slowly closed his textbook, leaned against the desk, and spoke, softly, but with weight. "I wasn't always a teacher," he began. The class barely glanced up. "I used to sleep in shelters. Studied under street lamps. Ate from food banks. I know what it feels like to be ignored, or hated before you even speak." His voice didn't crack. It didn't need to. It carried the kind of truth that silenced even the toughest kids. "I don't teach because it's easy," he continued. "I teach because one person saw something in me when no one else did. And I promised I'd do the same for others, no matter how they treat me." The room, once buzzing with rebellion, went still. Trevor sat frozen. Maya looked away, biting her lip. No one laughed. No one threw anything. In that moment, they saw a man who had survived more than they ever imagined. Not a weak man, but a strong one, stronger than any of them had dared to be. And something inside them began to shift. The next morning, the classroom was unusually quiet. No snide comments. No crumpled paper in the air. Mr. Ramirez walked in like always, calm, steady, but the students looked different. They couldn't unhear what he'd shared. Trevor, usually the loudest in the room, stood up slowly. His voice, for once, was soft. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know." The room held its breath. Maya looked down at her desk, then up at Mr. Ramirez with watery eyes. "We thought you were just another teacher," she whispered, "but, you're real." Mr. Ramirez smiled gently, not in triumph, but in understanding. "So are you," he said. "I see you. Even when you hide behind pain. Even when you're angry. You matter." The words sank deep, and for the first time, the class wasn't filled with noise, but with something heavier: humility. Regret. And maybe even hope. That day, no lessons were interrupted. No jokes were made at his expense. Instead, students listened. Really listened. Because now, they knew they weren't just being taught equations or grammar, they were being seen, believed in, by someone who had once been broken, too, but chose kindness anyway. Weeks passed, and the classroom began to feel like something new, something safe. The same students who once mocked Mr. Ramirez now lingered after class, asking questions, sharing stories, even laughing with him. Trevor stayed late to work on math problems he once pretended not to care about. Maya helped organize the classroom library, cracking jokes that didn't sting anymore. The walls that had been built from pain and pride began to fall, brick by brick, replaced with trust. Mr. Ramirez never once brought up the past, never reminded them of who they had been. He just kept showing up, day after day, with that same steady presence. Not with punishment, but with belief. He hadn't yelled. He hadn't given up. He'd just listened, shared his truth, and treated them like they were more than what they showed on the surface. And they rose to meet that vision.